All right, so welcome back to another episode of Cobra Kai Companion. I am Peter, and today we have another interview, you guys. Joining me is Jesse Kove, who plays David in season 3 of Cobra Kai. How you doing, Jesse?
What's up, guys? I'm doing great, man. So glad to be here with you. Finally.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've been a busy guy, as I'd imagine. Like everybody's been extremely busy with the move to from YouTube to Netflix. So all the different news media outlets are reaching out. All the different podcasters and YouTubers. I see them. We all follow one another, and so it's been really exciting to see everyone just kind of get out there and share their stories and experiences. But what we like to do here at Cobra Kai Companion, we want to learn more about you, about Jesse Cove too. So I did, a little reading up on you, and I kind of want to start off from like young Jesse. I know you've been on many a sets as early as like 6 months old.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other thing is I feel like if people don't really follow you or the family, many people may not even know you're a twin.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
Rachel is your twin sister who kind of
yep.
keeps a little bit more of a low profile. Um, having the twin sister, obviously we see you and Marty very often together. You're at events together, you guys are in movies together. Uh, what was that like kind of growing up? And why do you think that is that we usually don't see Rachel with you guys?
Well, a couple things. We're all very close. And, ever since I was little, I usually would. Rachel didn't want to travel as much with my dad as I did. Every opportunity to not be in school, I was like, yes, I want to go. Because he basically would say, oh, you want to come with me to, there was I was like 10 years old. I went to India for like 2 weeks while he was doing a movie out there. And, I was still doing schoolwork and stuff like that. But I went with him, and I just love traveling. And of course, traveling to go visit my dad on movie sets was just like the best thing in the world. So at the time, Rachel was very much into sports. Like Rachel, almost went pro, and so she, stuck with that. And I just loved going on this creative journey with my dad wherever we were going. It was always a new experience, and it was fun. And we traveled really well together, and I think obviously he loved sharing that experience with me, his son, and we always had a great time. And I think also I knew pretty much from a young age that I was probably going to be in the industry, and so I obviously soaked up every moment that I could. And yeah, it was just always a good time. We had a lot of fun doing it. And I think one of the other reasons is like, my dad and I was at events together is because it's part of my business as well now. And so it's great for both of us. And we're both like, we help each other out. We like tag team and push each other. And we got each other's backs, which is great.
Yeah, that's great to have the support, within
Yeah.
the family. Uh, in an article that I read, it said like as early as 10 years old, you were kind of filming, your own movies with your dad's video camera and stuff like that. Can you share that memory?
Yeah. It kind of started out with my dad because he's such a creative person, and anytime there would be like a some classic movie like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or something on the TV, my dad would like get up and like pretend he's got guns on him and like shoot us or something. And then when I was little, I would have like 1,000 toy soldiers, and my dad and I would make these huge battles, like huge battles. I mean, there would be like a lineup on this side and a lineup on this side, and then we would jump in there and we would like shoot each other and all this stuff. And then my dad got a video camera, and he started filming me playing with the soldiers, and then we started getting into it. Like, we brought the camera down low and like pretending like we were making a little movie. And then I took the camera, and then I started, following the airplanes and things around. And then I started making my own little movies with an actual storyline. There was like one where, God, I wish I had this video. I do have it. It's on VHS. Um, and VHS, by the way, for people that don't know, it's a plastic tape that used to hold movies and had it basically was the modern day DVD back in the day. Anyway, can't believe I had to explain that.
It's
Uh,
a foreign concept.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and you can hold it in your hand, which is so nice. It's like a book. Um, So there was one I made where it was like the president was kidnapped and he went to like a foreign country, and then there was this giant crocodile that had this huge giant crocodile, and like this whole military group had to go in and like rescue the president and then kill this giant crocodile at the same
I
time.
like it.
Oh, it was amazing. I'll find it. I'll upload it sometime. It was pretty incredible. I even built this like handmade steady cam for my little camera at the time with like a piece of wood and like a shoebox. It was crazy, but so I just enjoyed being creative. And obviously, I was in like theater arts programs when I was in high school and like middle school, and I got into a performing arts school when I was younger as well. So I always loved creating and making films, and hopefully later on down the road, because I love directing, I'd love to direct as well.
Well, I think everyone that's tuning in knows how much of a legend your father is. When we spoke with him, he mentioned that he was also big into westerns. So I think we need to see Marty in some westerns. I did see, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Yeah.
because he shared that story too before that movie released. But for you, kind of growing up, and your father being John Kreese, what was that like for you, like in school? Did people have a pulse on that? Did they know that, like, oh, you're the son of this actor? Like, so what was that like in school for you growing up?
It was kind of funny because people would, they would be, "Oh my God, your dad's so and so," and oh, he was so. The thing I got all the time was he's so mean. He's so mean. Is he like that in real life? And then he'd come into the room and he'd be all nice, and like he'd be like a teacher parent meeting, when I was in school, and he'd come in, and it was just always this funny experience. And to me, it was always my dad. And I always expected at some point, someone might recognize him or say something, and he always enjoyed it. I mean, he loves connecting with his fans, and he loves hearing about their stories of when they watched it, or how it felt to them, and what it did for them personally. And so it's a nice. My cat is trying to get up here. It was always a decent experience. Like even when we're walking on the street or something, someone may say something. There are times it can be uncomfortable when you're just trying to like do something with the family. And I love you, baby. My girlfriend's leaving. So it's just there are times where it can be uncomfortable. Like maybe someone shouting it out in the street or in a restaurant or something, and you're kind of like, all right, well, hey, it happens. The price of fame, I guess, right? But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's always been a great experience. Everybody loves The Karate Kid. It's such a touching movie for everybody over the years. Usually you'd get someone like, "Oh, that was just my favorite movie. It meant so much to me." And again, my dad and I would always talk about how amazing that is, that the movie has withstood the test of time today, and people are still so affected by it that hence Cobra Kai was created. And so that's kind of the experience, going through that as a young man and young boy, was just that basically that was always my dad, except we had this other part of it that was, like I do. I have got movie posters of myself on my wall. He had Karate Kid posters, and the original cutout of himself from the dojo in the living room. Which is still in the living room. I'm trying to figure out a way. I think we're going to make copies of it and sell them because people want them. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how that experience was.
I think, I mean, if we can all get a hold of, a John Kreese cutout, in our living rooms, I think everybody, well, I like a challenge has already come to my mind. We do like I don't know what you want to call it, but it's the challenge where Daniel LaRusso walks in and like sees
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Kreese, like, reacts to it. It'd be funny. Um, so being on the like plethora of sets that you have been at all through your now this is like excluding stuff that you've been a part of. What was some of your like favorite sets while with your dad?
There was one I did. I visited him. I think it was. I forget if it was Wyatt Earp or with Kevin Costner or another one. I forget which one it was. But it was a Western when I was very young, and the whole experience was just. It was a big movie, and the whole experience was amazing. I mean, just seeing these sets and these people and what they created, and then there was when I went to India was pretty amazing. That was a whole life-changing experience. I mean, it was, he did this action thriller, and it was just like they had all these stunts. That I literally, they were like at one point they were like, "Oh, you want to go in the helicopter, Jesse?" And I said, "Yeah." And I was like I was scared. I got in the helicopter and I was like really scared and kind of crying a little bit. And then as soon as it lifted off the ground, I was like so energized. And those kind of experiences are just so amazing. And that was a really great one. What else did I love? There were so many. Um, God, there's just so many. I literally need a list. And what's funny is usually when I would visit the sets, I'd always like help out in some way, right? Like I would maybe like help the art department or something, or maybe do like props. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, come on and help us," and like I'd stack like the bar or something, or stuff like that. It was always fun for me to do, and at least I tried to make myself useful. So those were some of my favorites, and trying to think of some other fun ones. A couple of them I actually did. Uh, Production assistant work on, which was great. I wanted to learn the ropes a little bit and kind of get into that as well. Which was always a great experience.
Yeah, it sounds like you acquired a lot of kind of experience just helping out, being an assistant in all these different departments. At some point, a production of or a movie that you produced, As Night Comes, can you share the experience of getting that made?
Man, you do your homework. I love it.
No, that's what I do here.
As Night Comes is a fantastic movie, written and directed by Richard Zelniker and Ryan Cohen. Basically, there was this young man Ryan who wrote this story based upon kind of like his upbringing, not his upbringing, but the area that he lived in. And then basically the story was like this group of kids who are like this group of misfits, um, kind of terrorized the town. And it's basically like a Clockwork Orange, but in modern day times. And it deals a lot with like, it's a teen crime drama. So the movie really deals with teenagers, insecurities and bullying and parenting, which is like the biggest one that a lot of people I think miss sometimes in the movies. When you see a bully, much like David, usually comes back to the parenting, right? Well, what the parents are doing. So this was a movie that was basically, we started out with no money, and the director said, let's just make this movie. We started shooting it on no money. We had a cinematographer who owned Red cameras. He wanted to get into more film. His name's Mark Mantrek, and we just took this little teaser that we made of some of the footage that we shot, and someone said, this is incredible. Like, he was like, how much do you need to finish the movie? And we said this amount. It was pretty up there, and he just literally goes, here's a check, gave us the money, and we then went out, with a real production and a real cast and crew, and we started making this movie. We shot it over a period of 6 months, and it's really an incredible movie that kind of, I think, gets better over time, called As Night Comes, and I have a small part in it, which was great. And just producing that film was fantastic, another great experience. The movie went on to go to several different film festivals, which was fantastic. The Hollywood Film Festival, which is a really an acclaimed award show and film festival. And yeah, that movie will always like have a special place in my heart because of all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, and the acting was incredible. I love the cast when we made that movie, and it's just one of those experiences where you really learn so much about film, and you really have an entire movie that you are making. There's just so much that goes into it. It's really, whether especially as a producer, you're dealing with SAG and money and budgets and the actors and getting people together. And the biggest lesson that I learned from that movie was that you never take no for an answer. I can't tell you how many times people kept telling us, "Oh, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that," and we're like, "Watch us." And we ended up making a great movie. And there was even times where, there was a point during the movie where we had to unfortunately, we had to get rid of half the crew and bring in a whole new crew. And when the movie was eventually playing at the film festivals, there were some people that were watching the movie and they were like, "Oh my God, we were just blown away. We didn't know we were making this kind of movie." And anyway, it's a really, really good film. So thanks for asking about that. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it sounds like it's your own personal disaster artist, right? Like all these things just kind of went wrong, and you guys who believed in yourselves, got to get this project, up and running. So awesome. Is that available? Like I was
It is.
looking through like a
Yep,
Amazon
it's on
Prime.
Amazon and iTunes, and it's on all the major streaming platforms.
There you go. As Night Comes, check that out. I'm very interested in that. I love the story of hearing just it getting made. I feel like another. Uh, I feel it's a little known fact, but you also attended the New York Film Academy.
I did. I
So
did.
so you learned quite a bit. You also got into some Broadway. So can you share, your timeline there?
I love these, man. This is great. Love your
Yeah.
sweatshirt, by the way, of course.
Thank you. Yeah, all valid for those that can't see it.
I'm currently wearing my Cobra Kai sweatpants right now.
Hey,
Um,
there you go.
but thanks, contenders. So yeah, so I did at the New York Film Academy. I was there for a summer, and I hadn't been to a technically like a film college or anything like that, a film school. So I wanted to get that experience and see what it was like. And I went into the whole experience very humble, and obviously my upbringing, I knew a lot about the film industry, and so but it was nice to just kind of get a ground floor view from it from the beginning, and see certain things that maybe I didn't know about, and learning about like an actual film camera and putting film into an actual camera, 35 millimeter, and what was it? I forget what the very small one. Learning that, and learning about specific shots and lighting, which was really, really great. And I was here in town, and at that time we were using the Universal backlot as our area where we could shoot and stuff. And I learned a lot of great stuff at the New York Film Academy. It was really, really just a nice polish on some things for me. And then for Broadway, so I was doing a play out here, and this was when I was about 1920. I was doing a play out here called the Columbine Project, and that was all about the Columbine shootings. It was a really, really heavy play, and did really well out here. That actually got picked up to go to New York, and the director was like, "Listen, we got picked up to go to New York. Whoever wants to go on this journey can stay with the cast, and we'll go. We're all gonna, they're gonna get in they had apartments and everything set up for us." So I drove out there. I was out there for a few months, and we started doing this play, off Broadway. And it was incredible. I mean, for a guy from LA to go to New York to do Broadway, it was just incredible, off Broadway, but it was just incredible. And my dad came out; he was so proud. He like, this is where I grew up. I mean, I've been in New York, tons of times. We got family out there, but for him to like see his son out there doing, off Broadway doing a play was just incredible. So I loved that experience. I really felt like that was something that I feel like every actor really should experience, is doing theater. I mean, theater is just the epitome of an actor, because you only get one shot. Once you're on that stage, that's it. You know what I mean? On camera, we
Right.
get another take, another take, another take. So, to really like adapt your craft and perfect it, I think theater is just the best outlet for that. So did that, and we just had a great time, man. It was so fun. It felt like $1,000,000 as a young actor in New York doing theater. It was great. It was just great.
It sounds like a really good time. So you worn a variety of hats. You just mentioned the theatrics. You've been in a number of movies as well. Basically, being an assistant to all different types of departments growing up. Um, I don't believe you've directed yet, right?
Not fully, no. I did a fun short with a friend of mine.
Auditioned, right?
Yeah, audition. Yeah,
Yeah.
my friend Tasha Hall. She wrote this quick story. Basically, it was a spoof on the audition process for actors and how we really feel inside. If there's a casting director that's like eating food while you're doing your take, or you have an audition that's like 100 miles away and they want you to be there like this or something. So we were just making fun of the whole process of it. It was a good time.
So, is there something like a passion project of yours, or what is something that you really love doing? Is it the acting, or is there something else that you really haven't quite dipped your toes in yet?
I mean, acting never feels like work. There's always the beginning process to me, like the first time I read the script and the first time I'm kind of diving into the script or diving into the character. That's the really tough discipline part, because it's like I got to stop everything that I'm doing, and I gotta, like, I did this character yesterday. I was auditioning for this huge scene, and he had like this he had this Virginia accent, talked like this, and it was kind of one of those things. And so I had to like perfect that, and then the character and the clothes and everything. And it takes a lot of discipline to really just start that whole process. You're like, okay, I got to set aside 3 hours right now to like read the script. I like to read scripts very slowly. I like dissect every little thing as I'm going along. Some people just are able to just go through them. It takes me like 3-4 hours to get through a script the first time, and so yeah. But when I'm really doing it, like when I'm on set and I'm in the moment, like it never feels like work. And that's how I knew even when I was younger, like this is it. Like I just enjoy it so much, and I have such a good time doing it. Um, and so I was really blessed to just be able to do that even now, and it's just like I don't know, I feel like that's part of it, and I also feel like just anything in the production world. I love, obviously, like I love directing, producing, being behind and in front of the camera, But I think a passion project would be there's, my dad and I, we actually have this Western Western, right? That we have got some great actors attached to it, and we're really trying to make this really meaningful Western. And it's kind of like a father and son, rookie veteran type situation. And I think that would be a really, really important piece for my dad and for myself, for him and I to have that together. That's something I really want to do. And then, like I said earlier, later on down the road, I really want to direct, kind of like how Ben Affleck, what he's done. I'd love to have that kind of trajectory of a career, that as well, because I love communicating with actors and I love helping them perform, and I love I love just creating characters with people as well and telling stories that move people.
Oh yeah, like we all kind of grew up and saw a lot of his movies, and when he started directing, I was like, man, these are some good ass movies, like The Town and
Oh,
Argo, won an Academy Award. So,
well,
um,
actors make great directors because they really know how to communicate with another actor. You get like a director sometimes it's like, a little angrier, more sad. It's like that just doesn't really, you want the guy that's like going to come up to you and be like, listen, where's the character really going in the scene with, with you? Where does he start, and like how does he feel in this moment? Something like that, and or we want this, and um, I think obviously Ben has a really good point on that, and how he directs actors, and obviously like George Clooney too, another great actor who's a
yeah,
great director. They understand actors and they understand where they're coming from. So I think that really has a leg up.
yeah, just kind of speaking about like the whole acting, directing, like it takes me back to most recently one of my favorite films, and his directorial debut was Bradley Cooper's The Star is Born.
Oh yeah.
So I mean I love music. I love musicals, and this was musical light. But I've seen the Chris Christopherson version only. I haven't seen like the Judy Garland one. But to see what Bradley Cooper did with that story and like his vision, I was blown away, and what he got out of Sam Elliott. And Sam Elliott is like just a great actor like already, but to see that grown ass man cry, like you just
Oh
you're like, what's Sam
yeah.
Elliott doing crying? um,
Yeah, it's
all
beautiful.
right.
He's so good. There's a great video online. You should look it. I don't know if you have already, but it's Bradley Cooper in the actor studio when he was just starting out, and I think he's asking Robert De Niro a question in the audience as an actor, as a student in the actor studio. Such a cool moment. Or it was Johnny Depp. I don't remember, but it was cool to see like him back then before he was famous, like just working it out and grinding it out, and then here he is now, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing to kind of see where everybody has kind of started. Like my earliest memory of Bradley Cooper was Wedding Crashers, where he plays an asshole, and so like to see him become like this, kind of like this it guy, grow in his career. It's been really amazing to kind of see where he's come from. In the past decade, you've been again, I keep saying that you've been attached to like numerous projects, but how have you been able to just kind of, obviously you're talented, but to book 2, 3 movies like every year for the last decade?
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's I've been really lucky, and I don't take it for granted. This industry is such a crazy industry. It can all be taken away from you like that. And I just really, I love to work. I work my ass off. Um, and I try to make things happen. I'm always either, you're networking and you're making friends, and you're helping other people, and I take my craft seriously, so I'm always trying to do really well with my auditions. And of course, like there are projects where my dad has helped me, he's brought me into a project, or I've brought him in a project, like this movie here, D-Day. I brought him into that one day. He was visiting the set, and I said to the writer, I was like, "Man, you got to find him something for this movie." And he was like, "Well, would he want to do that?" I said, "Yeah, of course. Like, of course." He wrote this like great little scene with him, myself, and my good friend Weston Cage Coppola, who's in this. And it was just this beautiful moment. He came on for a day. He played this like French rebel, and who got shot, and it was just a beautiful moment. And like he's having a cigar, and I light his cigar with my Zippo lighter before he dies. It was like this really cool. So just stuff like that happens as well, and I just think, even like during COVID, I've been really, really lucky. When COVID first started, I was lucky enough to, I literally got a call from a director that I worked with, and he wanted me to come, be a part of this movie that was shooting in Big Bear. It was Christmas on the Menu that was on Lifetime a month ago, and stuff like that happened. And then I got another Lifetime movie that happened, and so some of it's explainable and some of it isn't. And again, I enjoy working. I work hard, and I think if you just put it out there and you really you really like conceptualize what you want, it just comes into your universe. It really does. Like you just have to have faith and believe, and like and just keep creating on that level of what you're doing, like what you've done with this podcast, man. I'm sure when you first started out, you didn't know you'd be interviewing everybody, right?
Yeah.
Or going to the set. Like that's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing. So it's just, even you're a perfect example of this stuff just happening because you're making it happen.
Right. Thank you. Do you have a favorite genre? Because it does seem like you have kind of dabbled in a variety of them. Obviously, the D-Day you showed us behind you is a war movie. Your dad loves westerns. I love me some westerns too. Like it's really hard to find like a really good one.
Yeah.
'Cause you only have the classics, like the new stuff. I don't know what's going on, man. Like Kevin Costner's not making them anymore. I mean, he's got that TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Open Range, Western-ish,
Mm-hmm.
probably one of my last favorite ones. Um, and I wish that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wasn't what it was, because like I liked all the movie stuff that was going on too with Leo.
Yeah. 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 That movie's so good. I remember we were at one of the premieres of it, functions, and my dad and I had this 20-minute conversation with DiCaprio just about the character and the whole movie. And it was just funny because they were, he enjoyed it too. Like my dad and he and I were literally talking about the Western aspect of that movie and how much they all enjoyed it. So that was really funny you said that. um, I love period pieces. For some, there's something about me, I just feel very comfortable in a um, other time period earlier than modern day. I don't know what it is, whether it's just the way, like even during the Cobra Kai sequence, that was 1965, right? I just felt really comfortable in that setting. I feel like when you get to play these characters that are not from, modern day, you really get to create a character, and like if it's a Western or if it's a movie about, knights, God, in the medieval times, would I love to play someone like that. Um, and stuff like that. I just love period stuff. Like there's another movie I did called On Wings of Eagles, which I was in Asia for 3.5 months shooting that movie. And again, I loved every second of it. It was like it took place in 1937. It was pre World War II. So yeah, there's something about these period pieces that I'm obsessed with. I don't know what it is, man. I love doing World War II movies. This was his first World War II movie that I brought him onto, which was like the coolest thing ever. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And he was just as excited. So it was fun. Obviously there's tons of movies he's done that I've never done, but um, they're great experiences. So I really love doing period stuff.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated with period pieces as well. That's why I enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and a variety of other movies that take place back in the day. I think there's just something fascinating about like events that happened before us that kind of lead us to kind of where we are,
Yeah.
things like that. So I think that's a fantastic segue to Cobra Kai and your character of David. I avoid like other interviews just so that way I can kind of do my own thing when I do get a chance to speak with the actor. So I don't know if it's ever come up, but has anyone ever pointed out or maybe you even picked up on it, but maybe the similarities of some of your sequences with also Back to the Future?
Yeah, so that kind of started coming out, which was really cool. I remember there was like they literally did this like split meme of like the diner sequence with Biff and all that stuff, and I was like, dang, that really is on the set of the day of. We didn't think about that, and then later on when you saw it, it was like, oh my god, this is Back to the Future. Even the cars and everything. I mean, which is one of my favorite movies. So it was cool to kind of have that on under my belt in a way. Maybe paying homage to that as well. So yeah, that's come out a lot. A lot of people have been talking about that, and there's been a lot of like stuff on social media, which I was like, great. You know what I mean? Like people love Back to the Future. They love seeing these flashback sequences, which people have become obsessed with, and so I was really happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, I immediately saw it because that's my favorite movie of all time, and I know John, Josh, and Hayden love that movie as well. They got a Doc Brown art piece hanging in their counterbalance office in
I
at
saw
Arizona.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I walked in and they're like, yeah, we thought that you might like this. I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. Like I would steal that, because it's just so awesome. They commissioned it like 10 years ago or something.
I love it.
So with the role of
Even for them, when we were shooting that day, they were like, "Oh, this is our first like period piece we've ever done. Like this is we've never gone back like as cinematically as this." They were saying like they just loved doing this type of thing because I think most of the stuff they've done besides like Hot Tub Time Machine has pretty much been like modern day or whatever. But
right.
to go back like 60 years was a first time for them. So they shot it very in a very cinematic way as if it was a movie. So they really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean the entire show, it very many of the sequences are like a movie. I mean the fight sequences when you got somebody like Hito Koda as stunt coordinator, just the entire show plays off like a 5 hour movie every single season. I think that's what kind of makes it special as well. Like in Leo Bierenberg and Zach Robinson's score is
Oh,
also freaking
God.
amazing, man.
I'm
You just
obsessed. I'm obsessed with film scores and orchestral music. Like I listen to movie soundtracks probably more than any other music. I really do. I listen to it when I work out, when I'm driving in the car, everything. And these guys are freaking brilliant. I remember I had a conversation with John, Josh, and Hayden. I was like, and I had seen season 3 already, and my dad and I were chatting with them, and I said, "You guys, like." At the end of episode 10, like I heard those horns. Like that was some Star Wars. Those were Star Wars horns. And they were like, yep. They were like, we wanted a little bit of that in there. And I was like, oh, those guys are incredible.
they are a little known fact about them for those that don't really look that stuff up. When the first time I interviewed them, I did my research, and they also had previously worked on Ant-Man. So that
Well,
they know how to make movies, or make a project sound big, right?
yes.
That's one of the things I learned about Back to the Future. Like it was this kind of this small movie. Many of the locations were sets and all that. And when they hired Alan Silvestri, like they wanted it to feel big, and so like you get the Alan Silvestri, horns and all that, and the movie feels even bigger than it actually is. Um,
Oh, it was
so
epic.
yeah, yeah,
So epic.
yeah,
Dude, episode 10 is my favorite episode of season 3. And
it's
I watched
fantastic.
it probably, and I watched it before it came out. I mean, it was just, I watched like 5 times. Like
Yeah,
was like literally just like jumping and clapping. It was incredible. It was just amazing. And I even like I was like as I've said this before, but you know I try to watch things from an objective point of view as a fan, and like I'm so excited watching this, and I've got like John Kreese right next to me. And I'm watching this, and I'm still like jumping up and down and how amazing this is, and like what's happening. And then I get energized because I know what the fans will think when they see it. Uh, I mean, I think we can talk a little spoilers, right? I mean, are
yeah,
we
no, absolutely. It's been
like,
out for months. Wait,
yeah, yeah,
it's
a month,
it's
yeah,
weeks.
yeah. Like, are we kidding? Like, my dad and Ralph and Billy all fighting together. Like, have we been waiting decades to see that happen? I mean, it's
Right.
unbelievable. And then, that sequence where it's Robbie and my dad and Billy and the three of them. They're all wearing black and Robbie's wearing white, and my dad says, 3 generations of Cobra Kai. Like, you're just
Yeah.
I wish that would happen for a little bit. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
to see that play out. Johnny teaching his son Cobra Kai, and my dad teaching Johnny. Ugh, it just would have been amazing. Who knows? Maybe
it'd be
that's
great. Maybe we never know. So for the role of David, what can you tell us about the auditioning process?
Um, well, I got the call that they wanted to see me, which I was just thrilled about. I had no idea what this part was for. They're very secretive about what they do. So they sent me the sides, which I still have the original sides. Funny enough, I kept them, and they're a little different than what you saw on screen, which was great. Um, they originally I didn't really know that I was going to be bullying the younger version of Kreese. Um, I had originally thought maybe I was playing the younger version of Kreese. And then later on, I found out, okay, so my character is actually bullying him, which I thought was great. And I went in there, went into the room, and I did it once. They loved it, and then I asked them, I said, how much of a dick do you want this guy to be? And they were like, full on, just he's just awful. And I said, okay, great. So that I did it again. And I was just, I was my own version of John Kreese essentially, and with a little bit of his flavor in it because they wanted to pretend that you thought that I was him in the beginning. And so about a week and a half later, I got the call and they told me that I booked it. And I was just thrilled. John and the guys, they just, they said I did a great job. And of course I told my dad, and he was over the moon. It was very, very exciting. And he was already down. He had recently already gone down to Atlanta to start shooting. So when I went down there, he was already there shooting, which was fantastic. And it was just, it was like one of those surreal experiences, knowing even beforehand, like before I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to go down and be on Cobra Kai right now. Like this is while my dad's shooting the show. And, this is like a legacy thing for me. It was just kind of this cool, like piece of destiny. It was just, and then the fact that I would be bullying the younger version of my dad, which like sets him off to like go on this journey and become who he is and steal my girlfriend. And it was like this really amazing moment of like just life is so weird. You never know what's gonna happen. I never thought in a million years I'd be part of the Karate Kid universe ever. I mean, I was like, how is that even possible? How could I ever? And this happened, and it was just beautiful, man. It was really, really beautiful. And even when I was on set, I like to appreciate the moments. I try to do that with a lot of meaningful moments in my life. I'm sitting there and I'll just be like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this. This is a really great moment in my life right now. And I'm just like, I'm loving it, just to like
Yeah,
really remember it. And
that's a great experience, and thank you for sharing that story. And I guess the other thing that a lot of people don't know, if they don't read into the stuff like we all do, but Ken, who is your your friend
and
there in the back seat, he doubles for your dad.
yeah. I was just talking to him the other day. Because I'm gonna try and go down to Atlanta and see my dad and at some point and maybe have dinner with them or something. Um, but it was when I met him, because he walked me through, the whole all the stunt stuff along with Hiro Koda, and which was amazing. And they originally they showed me this video. They were like, okay, this is what we want to do. They literally, like with their stunt team, they made an entire video of the whole fight sequence between young Kreese and I, played by Barrett Carnahan, who's become a dear friend. And when I first saw it, I was like, you guys want me to do all this? Like, this is really intimidating. Like, they did it like shot by shot, like the whole thing as if it was real. And then I got into the dojo there, in the the Cobra Kai dojo, stunt dojo, and we started training. And it literally took me about half an hour. We got it all down, and I still haven't posted some of these videos yet. I have them. I'm going to put them up probably next week. It's some really cool stuff of just us working it out in the studio there, and we got it down. It was fantastic. And then and then I started working out with Barrett, and we just had this beautiful sequence. It was just, we were thrilled to do it, man, just thrilled. But yeah, Ken was so great. It was so fun to work with him, and yeah, he does an amazing job doubling my dad, which is just it's like he's my dad's wingman. It's great.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Just think about all the things you said. Like I had never even processed that yet, that you're bullying your father's character, who ends up taking the girl, working with the guy who doubles him. Yeah, it's all kind of crazy and meta and all of that. So you booked a part of David. What was your first day of shooting like? Kind of the reception, and I'd imagine Ralph and Billy were probably on set there as well.
Yeah, well, Ralph and Billy, I've been around them, for years and years and years. So, it was, when I first saw Billy, he was like, I remember I was down in Atlanta, and he came up to me. We're all like having lunch or something, and he's like, "Welcome to Cobra Kai." You know what I mean? It was like really fun, and so that was great. And he was as well. He was so stoked for me, which was so nice. Billy and I we're pretty close. He's such a good dude, and he and my dad are like, they're just like this. And so when I first got down there, I was, super pumped. I'd posted some photos that, like, maybe I was, just going to, see my dad or whatever, and which I was at the same time. And when I went down to wardrobe, and then I started putting the clothes on, and I was like, all right, this is getting really real. I've got they picked out these clothes that were very like USC-esque, and and then so my dad was actually already on set. They sent me down to they had all their offices and the
Hmm.
board department and everything, and my dad was already filming. So on my own, I went down there and I started getting ready, and then I was like, oh, where's my dad's trailer? Because I know he was there. And then I hadn't seen him yet. And so I knocked on his door, and then I opened the door, and, I saw him. I hadn't seen him for a while. And he was like, oh, and then it was incredible. I was wearing my clothes, and I actually have this photo that I haven't posted. I will. It was the first day I saw him, where I'm wearing my clothes and he's got his gi on. And it was just this great moment. And then, I did a tour of the set, which you've been to, which was great. And so that was just, there's a lot of excitement that day. And then everybody that was working on a lot of the crew, they had heard that I was his son, and they were just so excited. And, they were like, are you ready to be this mean guy? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready. And it was great. Everybody, it's such a great crew, and everybody was just, everybody was so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see some of the new stuff that you haven't yet posted, because one of my favorite things so far is you in the back of Miyagi-Do, the backyard there.
Okay, good, great.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was a
because one of my jokes is like, like everybody just seems to know where that is. In the movies, you had, well, I mean, Kreese walks back there in season two. You had Mike Barnes and Terry Silver back there in the third Karate Kid movie.
right.
Tori makes an appearance, even though it's in a dream sequence. And all the kids vandalized it in season two. So it's just like there's no security. So I thought it was
And I
very
walked
funny for
back
you.
there.
Yeah, you walk, but you're by yourself. You're like, I think everyone's gone, because, like, me and my dad scared them away. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's very serene and kind of breathtaking when you're back there. You're just like, you're talking about how never in a million years you'd ever be part of the Karate Kid. There I'm in the backyard, like, man, this is pretty freaking crazy and surreal. So
It
so
is
I kind
so surreal. It's so surreal.
similar experience. Yeah.
It's like,
As we get
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, as we get ready to wrap up, like, what is something that you can promote that people can kind of keep an eye out on? I mentioned a few things. As Night Comes is on Amazon. D-Day. Um, I don't know why anybody would be watching this if you guys haven't seen season three yet of Cobra Kai. But what else is in store for Jesse Cove?
Well, there's a couple movies I think you would totally love. One of them is Max Reload and the Nether Blasters. It's with Kevin Smith,
Kevin
Greg,
Smith, yeah.
that you love that movie. It's literally an action gaming science fiction comedy. It's fantastic. Obviously, I had my Christmas movie, Christmas on the Menu, that just came out. Also, of course, season 3, and then I've got another movie I'm doing. A few other projects that I'm doing in about a month. Excuse me, in about a month or two. And then there's a movie that I just finished for Lifetime called Recipe for Abduction. Really, really excited about that one. That'll hopefully come out in the next couple months. And there's another project can't really get into, can't really discuss it too much, but yeah, there's just a bunch of exciting stuff that's happening, and it's a very exciting time, very exciting time.
That gaming one, the one with Kevin Smith, I did see the poster. It gave me like the Ready Player One vibes.
Dude, it's
So
really like, I mean, in a nutshell, the movie's about these kids who basically work in a gaming store, and then they get this legendary like Coleco Vision game or whatever that like it's apparently has magic, and when you play it, like the characters in this game come to life, and they have to like rescue the town, and these characters start taking over human bodies. It's really funny, and it's a great movie. You'll love it.
it almost kind of sounds like Jumanji, so I'm on board.
It's all that together, dude. It's
Yeah.
all, it's great.
Oh man, that's amazing. Well, hey, thank you so much for giving me your time, and I hope that the viewers got to learn a lot more about you because I know I did.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. I mean, I appreciate all your questions, man. I had a great time. Looking forward. Maybe we'll do one with my dad and I at some point. Would be a lot of fun.
I think so. I think so. I would love that. Thank you so much.
And dude, thank you because none of this stuff would exist without what you guys do and the fans, man. It really is like it's just this is the whole reason that the show even still exists because of you guys.